dealership IT department actually say does it sell cars or not, and then block it? Because I, I remember some things that did help sell cars that were blocked.
Oh yeah. Yep. Matter of fact, I didn't have it turned on earlier, and I was just looking up like the future of QR codes and uh, googling just a couple different keywords and such, and like two or three of the sites were blocked. I'm like, are you serious? It's just a marketing site. But again, that's why I just use the VPN. I usually have the VPN on it at the house as well. The only time it becomes a pain is sometimes some of your different movie apps and such will not correspond and won't allow you to access. However, then there's some like such as Netflix. If you use a VPN, you log in from UK or something like that, you get completely different shows and movies that are available over there
Yep.
that aren't over here. So I've done that a few times to get my hands on some different movies.
Yeah, the boundary licensing is pretty interesting what it does to content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to think, what was the last thing? It was a movie. It was a newer movie that just come out, but you could not get it over here. I forget. Oh well.
Probably the Barbie movie you were searching for, right?
Yes, that's what it was. It was that movie Cuties. Gross, dude.
That was a
Is that
while.
on Netflix?
It was when it came out. I don't.
Oh, that's
Popped up on my.
that's just sad
morbid.
stuff.
It's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather talk about the Barbie movie.
Yeah, really. Give them between the two. Yeah, sick stuff.
Well, we don't restrict anything here in our office. Never have. And
That's good.
we started back in '94 as an ISP. And
Well,
besides,
yeah,
once
once
I wanted
we,
to block stuff, and I'm like, no, just let them have at it. If they want to waste your time, waste your
yeah,
time. Well,
yeah. Well, they were doing that for a while here, quite a few years ago, and all of a sudden you'd see everybody outside on their phones looking up their social media, like,
right.
so they're still going to do it. Now you drove them away from the dealership and around the corner so they can't see ups or anything or hear the phone calls.
Yeah.
It's you're not going to defeat it.
Yeah.
Well, 5 seconds, fellas. All right.
Just jump right into it.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Refresh Friday, everybody. And welcome, Dave. Your first one. And
all right. I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, first time meeting you as well.
Yeah.
We didn't screen you at all, so if you're a complete dud.
I've been called worse, so
we did,
right?
Years of being on DealerRefresh as the QR guy, and you brought some great comments over the years, and we've really appreciated and figured, man, it's been 13 years, I think was so. What was it? April of 2011 was the first QR thread on DealerRefresh.
Is that the thread that's still going?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a great thread. It's so funny because diving into like that thread and the other stuff in the dealership world about QR, everybody got it out of the gate, like nailed it, got the pros, got the cons, got how we should use it, all sorts of great ideas for back then. But of course, the problem is everybody figured out is that you needed a special app in order to make that happen. And then so everything went from, it was like the fastest meteoric rise for a marketing thing, and then the fastest decline.
Fastest dead.
Didn't work at all. It was this
flash in the pan. I don't know. What declined faster, the QR codes or was it dealership apps?
Oh. I'm going to say QR code, but that's a close one. That's a close one.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
That have apps.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Y'all remember that?
I
Every
do.
ship had to have an app once the
It is
so,
still the app is still, that app issue is still something that, I've got a custom app development company. When folks come to us looking for an app, I'm always like, do you really need an app? Let's take a look at this. Although the funny thing is, our QR code platform that Dealer QR is all based on was a platform that I built in 2017 for app onboarding, for a bunch of other things, for doing things on mobile instantaneously in situations where you didn't need an app and a customer was going to onboard, use it for a couple of hours, and then be gone. Where apps are running into, again, onboarding is a big issue. You hear that word from me a whole lot. And the thing that changed in 2017, which is why we built this whole platform, was it became native in our phones. We didn't need to use a specialized app anymore. And so that sort of changed everything. But yet there was still a major problem. And that was, people saw these little bitmap things and they're like, well, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this thing? And so there was one of the silver linings in COVID was the fact that everybody got trained on how to use a QR code. So when we were doing Dealer QR pre-COVID, the call to actions on our stickers weren't about what you're going to get out of it. It was like, hey, Flunky, grab your phone, scan this thing. You're gonna get good stuff for it. It was all a user awareness thing. And our biggest problem with dealerships was, because I'd been through the whole QR thing before, they're like, are people really going to get this? Are they going to understand this? And then it must have been, because we were watching the tipping point with our install base, and I want to say it was like the beginning of 2021, well, not quite the year anniversary of COVID. All of a sudden, because menus flipped to that, all other things flipped to that, all of a sudden scans at our install bases started just going through the roof.
I have a conspiracy. I think a bunch of the QR code generator companies got together and funded the release of COVID.
oh, that's right. The QR code.
Well, then there's a whole Chinese bit to that, because everything in the Chinese economy is based on QR codes, and so you scan a code, you pay, do everything electronically. It's like so we can go down that rabbit hole later, I think.
Well, it just so
I just came up
happens
with it.
all those companies are in Wuhan, so.
Oh, here we go. Somebody called Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Well, David, we jumped right into it, but give us a little bit of your background.
Okay, so I am not from automotive. I always lead with that because I'm not. And I've got actually my degree is artificial intelligence. I was a robot hacker back in high school and college. I was going to go, Carnegie Mellon for master's and PhD in robotics, and do a bunch of stuff. I actually had stuff that end up, doing flying with NASA and a couple other programs. But I had more fun doing consulting than working in a lab, quite honestly. And so I'm like, hey, can I take a rain check on the free master's PhD? I'm going to go off and do this other thing instead, and never went back. And through the years leading up to when I started Dealer QR, I started internet service provider in 94, email security company in 99. They ended up being like top 6 in the world. We had I think I had like 60 million mailboxes under subscription before I sold that company. We did a whole bunch of things. One of my companies I still have, one still a vendor to SpaceX. We do a bunch of stuff that's all custom work. We worked with Apple, GoPro, Intel, Red Bull. I mean, just all sorts of really cool stuff. And then I mentioned 2017, I started doing this QR code stuff. And was looking for, we were doing it for some client projects, and we built all the core IP, so we own all the IP, and was looking for vertical markets to go into. And automotive was an obvious, slam dunk. And went to some of my friends that own dealerships and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I don't know anything about your industry, and I'm not going to guess that I know anything about your industry. Can I play at your dealership? I promise not to break anything. If things go right, I'm just selling cars for you. I'm just helping you sell cars. Right. And my friends agreed, which is kind of like, let me go play at their stores, and spent a lot of time talking to them. And quite honestly, I spent a lot of time calling industry folks out of the blue. Didn't know them, found them on LinkedIn, or called a vendor and said, hey, I got a question. How does this work? How does that work? And I have to tell you, the assistance I got learning the industry from the industry out of the gate, I was like, there's something special here. There's something different here. I've done all sorts of different industries before, but there's something unique going on in automotive. So out of the gate, I was like, well, it's like one of these things is not like the other. And I was having a really good, fun time sort of learning about the industry. And my friends who own dealerships are like, are you sure you want to go into automotive? Are you sure you want to do this? You're gonna be a car guy. And I look at them like, what does that mean? They go, you'll know. You'll figure it. When you figure it out, let us know. And so it's been a really fun experience for me, learning, discovering, and getting into what I think this is my 13th company. And of all the companies that I've done, this is probably the most challenging to go to market. Not in a bad way, but in a way because it is so unique. But I'm also in the same breath of being challenged, I'm having the most fun I've had in most of my businesses because the people are second to none. They're from all walks of life. They're fantastic. Going into a dealership, I'm not a very talkative guy. I'm kind of an introvert because I'm a nerd. But the people are so much fun to meet and to talk to and to get to know. From lot attendants all the way to the folks that are on social media that are all the trade shows and we know, and it's been a tremendous amount of fun so far. But getting back to the product, we got into it and we're like, I go into something, I throw all the assumptions off the table. It's like, okay, we got to figure this out. And I spent an insane amount of time talking to customers, not dealer customers, car buyer customers. Now I came into this. I've got now my 3 kids are 17, 19, and 21. By the time they were just getting to driving. So I was starting to buy used cars. And that put me down a rabbit hole from a consumer standpoint of there has got to be a better way to do this. This is awful. Dealerships have these amazing websites. They got this huge investment in technology. The vendors, I think, are doing a really good job. Everything you need when you're sitting at home on your iPad or whatever on your phone is all there. But when you go to a dealership and you physically go to a dealership to look at the inventory, to shop or whatever, it's meant to be the 1950s. No, nothing's changed. And I'm in a blue law state, so we're not open on Sundays. And so that's when we shop. That's when we don't want to be bothered, so we go on Sundays. And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, every one of these cars needs my QR codes. This is great. And I can really service the customer and give them a great car shopping leading into a car buying experience. But then the question was, what can I do for the dealership? Because if I send traffic to their VDP, that's great. I can show you all this traffic. I can generate, hundreds, if not thousands, for every store in a given month. But is that really going to move the needle? And so I'll call the web vendors, talk to more dealerships. And looking at the lead form conversion rate on dealership websites is abysmal. It's like 1% if you really stretch it. Like, of all the traffic, people fill out contact forms. I think if you factor out like all the crap, all the service, all the whatever, and get down to actually car sales, it's less than 1%. It's bad. And so how do and car buyers like to remain anonymous, the classic, just looking, don't want to talk to you, just looking, all that kind of stuff. How do we connect with the customer and give them that experience? And how do we give the dealership something tangible to work off of? And so that was, at the end of the day, if I can't provide the dealership, I have no reason asking for their business. Because, anybody can, you can go to freeqrcode.com and you can take your VDP and you can throw it in there and you can print out a QR code, you can do whatever. And actually we do have a dedicated VDP only platform, free for dealerships. Our small dealership, our independents love it. They can log in, they can create a batch of 50 QR codes. They can zip off their own hang tags. And just, you don't need to worry about it. They can just go with it, which is super, super great. But the real value was turning every one of these scans into a VIN-specific lead with verified data. That was the bar. And that's what we set out to build, and that's what we built. And we did, and we want to do it in a way where it's not like every time a customer scans a code, they got to do an arduous experience, or they got to go through this. The codes themselves change on the fly. Again, part of the foundational stuff that we built. So, in addition to, getting leads from every scan of a code, once you scan, you're known to the system. you have a more yeah, a better shopping experience because we already have the information from you. Now we're just tracking, we're figuring what your buying habits are. Are you buying based on price? Are you looking for a make model specifically? Or hey, I just need an SUV, and the AI engine figures out, okay, how are they buying? How are they shopping? And then we pass that on to the dealership. Hey, this is kind of what they're doing. This is what we sussed from it. And in that initial lead capture, we call harvesting. Sounds a little brutal, but
Okay.
in the nerd world, we're harvesting leads, right? We're sending it over to the dealership. And the next thing that we do is what we call cultivating. I mentioned about that AI engine figuring out how they buy. So the cultivating is the AI engine keeps interacting with them based on their sort of criteria that we've sussed out from them. And they realize that it's just a computer engaging with them, kind of like they have on Amazon. But the car buyers love it. Our unsubscribe rate, because it's all done via SMS, our unsubscribe rate is less than 1%. It is
Wow.
In fact, some of our SMS partners were like, that can't be true. There's no way you can have unsubscribe rate that low. I'm like, well, we treat them very well. We don't annoy them. We literally treat them with kid gloves, and they reward us with they keep that channel open. And as we all know, in SMS or getting on mobile, that is the holy grail. Get them to keep that conduit open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's the experience once they scan the code?
So we're leveraging everything that the dealership has in terms of their web infrastructure, the VDPs, that kind of thing. We're not initially, this is kind of funny. Initially, we were doing it to a captured portal out of the gate. We're still figuring out how inventory feeds work and how websites we can interact with and that kind of thing. So we kind of built our own copy of everything. What?
I like how you call it a capture portal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
lead gate, right?
yeah, and well, you get a little inside baseball stuff with this because I'm a programmer by heart. And we looked at it and said, there's all this infrastructure that the dealership is invested in. Let's leverage that, because chances are that customer, if they've interacted with service or something else, they're already known cookie-wise to the dealership. So the destination for every scan will end up on the VDP. And we make sure that we UTM encode all that traffic, so on their stats and their Google Analytics and stuff, they can see it came from Connect Auto. It came, so it closes the loop for all the marketing stuff, so they can say, hey, in this month, these 160 car buyers came from these ads that we bought, so they can directly correlate it to ad buys and that kind of stuff, which the marketing ad folks love to death. And they also point to the fact of, hey, we're driving dealership traffic, because there's a lot of like innocuous results that happen from marketing. And being an analytical guy, I love to close the loop. Absolutely love to close that loop. And it is, we work on the customer's mobile. It's an app-like experience. And there's an interaction that's in sort of two steps. There's the Connect Auto portal, and then there's the dealership VDP. It is seamless to the customer. They have no idea they're transferring through these portals. We do not text the customer on behalf of the dealership directly, because that's violating the FC.
Mm-hmm.
Was it consumer protection, whatever. But we also have walls set up, so anything that we do at one rooftop never bleeds over to the other rooftop. So there's because we're kind of like Carfax in some respects. We've got this grand overall view of what's going on in activity, but we've got walls set up so nothing ever crosses. A customer from XYZ dealership never gets promotion from ABC dealership, that kind of thing. It's completely walled off. The user's experience in session is unique to them.
Gotcha.
I bring that up because that's a huge issue for a lot of people.
Yep. Came from a CRM system. I'm well aware of that.
Oh, yeah. And everybody's got these crazy stories. And the other key thing that we learned in rolling this out. Now, granted, we did it during COVID, and so a couple of things. I talked about talking to car buyers. So I'm in a blue law state, and this may sound odd, but I will go out on Sundays and I will camp out at dealerships. I will camp out with a camera and a pair of binoculars and my iPad, and I will start tracking and keeping tabs on the traffic that they get, the hours that they get it. And a lot of dealerships will just go set cameras up just to watch the traffic, that kind of thing. And we learned a lot of really interesting things, a lot of buying habits, a lot of things based on weather, funny things based on like Mother's Day. Like the highest shopping is from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. But on Mother's Day, it's not. It starts at 4:30 and goes to like 7 because everyone's having lunch with their mom on Mother's Day. But going and talking to customers in the lot and learning, hey, are you here looking? Are you shopping the inventory? Did you find a car on the website? You're coming to look at it specifically to make sure that it matches what you saw online. What are you doing? There's been a lot of endless, like Cox Automotive does a lot of studies, that kind of thing, and those are great. But I'm also a trust but verify kind of guy, so I wanted to get in and talk to these car buyers, and learned what it is they're actually doing, even though I experienced it myself. And so we built everything facing them to satisfy all of that consumer data that we dug up on actual use case stuff. And I still go out on Sundays and camp out at dealerships and talk to car buyers and see what they're doing. The other thing we learned was installing at dealerships was the dealership process is more important than anything that we do in terms of software and features and that kind of thing. If we don't integrate into the dealership process, nothing else matters. They won't use it. Doesn't matter how good it is. Doesn't matter how much the GM yelled at his guys or whatever to do it. Doesn't matter. And so we spend a lot of time and effort, quite honestly, building the system so that the dealership doesn't have to do hardly anything. We joke about the fact that there's no login, but there actually are. We just don't really give it to them because it's one less login to forget. It's completely automated. All the leads, all activity goes into the CRM. All the reports go to their inbox. They already have enough systems that they're juggling. I mean, if I had a dime for a dealership that was like, more software, what am I going to do with this? It's like, great. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to give you that more encumbrances on the job you're trying to do. We're going to make it so we're fire and forget. We lay onto a dealership, we do the install, and it just works out of the gate. All they have to do is peel and stick stickers onto a car. That's all they got to do. Everything else is automated.
Wow, easy enough.
Well, yeah, and literally we have dealers. We go in to do training and then we do it, and they have all hands on deck, and we run through it, and they go, "That's it? That's all there is to it?" Like, yep. Oh, this is really easy.
Dealer.
Right? Yep. And then literally 9 times out of 10 they say, "I wish all of our software vendors were this easy." No.
You and I
believe it.
The same school.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, here's the funny thing. I always like when I do software, do businesses, I always love a little unfair advantage. And it's a kind of great story because I've always stolen the unfair advantage from an Audi commercial. Back when the Quattro came out, they have a commercial. Go and Google it. And it's the Audi, how they were banned at whatever races, whatever. And it keeps going from this. The commentators in the race car in this, he's going through the pit crew and stuff. And he finishes him driving like an A6 or something on the road. And he goes, so the car buyer, he wants every unfair advantage he can get. And in business, I also want every unfair advantage I can get. And so building the system to be that easy for dealerships, I consider an unfair advantage. And I'll say that flat out because I think more of the vendor industry needs to hear that.
Well,
good words.
So I agree with you completely, David. That's something, like I said, you and I come from the same school of thought on the components. But also, are you guys, your QR codes are primarily focused on the lot. Are you helping dealers implement those in any other places? Maybe, over the top or in mailers or anything along those lines?
Yeah.
Service.
So we're doing, because we've got different portal components into our customer portal, in terms of like credit checks, trade-in processing, service requests, those types of things. We're expanding that out. Like for example, if you're in Northeast Wisconsin and you've got the Chevy did a promotion with the Chevy super dealers, it was working with them on their promotion for signups for the vehicle giveaway that they just did at Lambeau last weekend. we're doing more and more of that, and we don't charge for those smaller side services because it's like one-off codes. And dealerships really like the fact that we sit down with them and work on what the promotions are supposed to be. But the really cool thing is that all of the codes that go onto a dealership, onto a lot, we can design a promotion. Say it's for Trucktober or Chevy Truck Month or Toyotathon, whatever the OEM promotion is going to be, or whatever the rooftop promotion is going to be. So when you scan a vehicle, you can get a promotion page. Say it's for Jeep, you can hey, sign up and you can win this Jeep package. It's $3,500 worth of accessories, that kind of thing. It's another way to help get additional lead gen. You can do because I always wanted to leverage FOMO, fear of missing out. And so, especially for end of month, end of year kind of things, where you've got big promotions for like a franchise OEM dealership, that where they scan, it's like, okay, here's $1,500 in truck bucks, but it expires in 72 hours. And so we keep engaging with them, like, hey, you look at this Silverado, $1,500 brings your price to this. Expires in 48 hours, expires in 24 hours. Hey, don't miss out on this, kind of a thing. And so that engagement really works well with car buyers. And on the used side, it's more about engaging with them on, hey, that A6 you scanned or whatever it is, that we sold it. We've got 3 more in stock. Here they are. Come go ahead and take a look at them. We can identify which vehicles we're looking at. And we engage and let the dealership know about that. The other thing we do is, car buyers, because they already want to remain anonymous, they may go to a dealership, get scanned, they get a text from the dealership. You always tell dealerships, text them, don't call them out of the gate. And then they go to the sales team because that's what customers do. And sales teams are working on the low-hanging fruit because that's what they do. So typically 7 to 10 days out, those leads aren't getting called anymore. But the question is, are they still in market? So we engage them after this quiet period and say, hey, price drop on the whatever, or new inventory, or whatever the engagement is. And when they engage, we figure out what vehicle or what has triggered them to engage with us. If somebody's bought a car, they do not engage anymore, period. They don't. But if they do engage with us, they go into what we call the in-market report. That's a dealer report we send to dealerships with a list of, hey, here's all the folks in the last 24 hours that we've sort of dug up from the grave that you may have seen 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. We let them know, hey, you first saw them on this date. This is the vehicles looked at. We just interacted with them again. Here's what they're looking at now, kind of a thing. And the sales teams love that because it's people that have fallen off their radar. They get this report and they're like, oh, Sally's back. Great. I'll give her a call. She's looking for a Sienna for her family. She clearly went dark in the shed and found she's still looking for one. Let's engage with her. And who knows, life happens, that kind of stuff. And they're able to really work that in-market report for a success at levels that when we first built it 3 years ago, it is exceeding our expectations, which is awesome.
What type of data are you seeing out of aggregating all that information? I mean, does anything stick out? Have you seen any trends?
Yeah, so we see trends real time on the lot. So if we back up a year ago when things hit the skid in October, really hard as inflation started to hit home in 2020, not 2022. And I remember it specifically because we were going through the trends. It was right before, I think, what's the fall show in Vegas? Digital Dealer in October. And we were like, ooh, they've got to be seeing this on the web traffic. We don't have access to that, but we're looking at the folks that are going to the dealerships, looking at vehicles, that kind of stuff. And the trends were definitely, there was a whole segment of car buyer that was coming up that was getting themselves out of the market. And so I was paying some other guys that I know that have access to the other side of the data, and they were like, they were seeing it like a week or two after we were seeing it. And so they were curious as to where our data was coming from. Like, well, we're dealing with we're like a live thermometer in the mouth of a car buyer that's shopping in market. And so we see those trends in real time, and we let our dealerships know, hey, we see it regionally, we see it nationally. These are emails that I craft out to my dealer customers saying, hey, here's what we're seeing. Be prepared. These folks are not in the market anymore, but the folks that are in the market, that this started last fall, you may have less volume in the market, but they are serious buyers. They are cash buyers. They are shopping more with intent. Intent is huge. We love measuring intent, and so that's some of the business intelligence that we're pulling out of it, and we're still like fine tuning what the deliverable product's going to be to the dealerships. I get dealerships that sometimes I come in and say they're not a customer. I stop by just to meet the GM or whatever. And he'll say, "Oh yeah, I see Randy's got you at this other store. He was talking about you." And we start talking about the industry on the trend side of it, and they love the data that we see because that's what the sales teams are living with their ups, with all that lot activity. In some respects, a business development team is also dealing with, because they have a whole segment of leads that just went dead on them. I'm like, yeah, because of interest rates. And those cars, they can't afford it anymore. They're out of the market, kind of a thing. And so I try to do that quarterly.
Oh, so they might know that the interest rate's gone up, but if they're not shown all their payment options, and I might be a little biased here because my company, we pretty good at showing them all the payments, but if they're only shown a captive lender, for example, and the rate's at 9% or whatever, 11 in some cases, then it is scary. It looks like $1,200 a month payment, for example, but that's not the end all.
No, it's not. And you bring up exactly the right point, which is, so now that conversationally to those folks that are taking themselves out of market that you have the leads for, that's a great conversation. So, hey, you may not be interested in a car because you don't think you can afford it, but we may have different answers for you. It costs you nothing to come in and sit down or get on the phone and we'll figure this out. And so that was exactly what our wording, what our message was to these dealerships. Like, you have to treat them differently. Cash bar guy doesn't care, but the folks that are getting stuff out of the market, you may want to put that in your radio ads. Maybe you want to put that in your TV ads or your online ads, or or messaging on your SMS, because a lot of folks took themselves out of the market, like how you just said, because they thought, because they got one number that they saw, they're like, yeah, I can't do that. That's a huge problem. Mm-hmm. Spot on.
Yeah, it's been interesting because as the interest rates have gone up, and inventory has come back, we're actually seeing increase in deals and engagement and shopper.
So it slowed down in the fall, and now we're seeing, that velocity coming back, especially because inventory is helping huge. Of course, we all know that. And so it's that teeter-totter keeps kind of back and forth, and I think the smart folks are responding, keeping tabs on that, and they're changing up what they're doing. I think the ones that are running into problems on the sales side are the ones that are just they learned a bunch of bad habits during COVID that we all have talked to the death of a horse thing about, but they just don't change in how they approach the customer.
Well, for someone that's not been in our industry for very long, you sure did learn quick.
Well, when I go into something, it's literally, I do a deep dive, and here I'm doing a fair amount of talking, but for 4 years I did a hell of a lot of listening and asking a lot of. I said, I'm going to ask a whole bunch of dumb questions. Bear with me, just bear with me. And that served me well. And again, the only reason I've learned so much is because the people that are in the industry are just so giving of their time. And I think a lot of it comes from somebody did that to them in the past. They helped them, climb that ladder. And they extended that to me, which was more grace than I deserved. People gave me so much time. I feel I owe them drinks and dinner in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Well, who's engaging with QR codes?
From the customer or the
what's the yeah, from the customer level. Is there an age group? What's the demographics of that user?
It really is more about the folks that go on to a lot. How many of those can we convert to scan a code? We're not seeing any issues with age demos, that kind of stuff. Everybody knows how to use them, and obviously the uber elder couple with a flip phone's not going to scan. I mean those exist, although they are more tech savvy than you'd imagine. It's pretty impressive.
My parents do a great job. My dad uses QR codes. I watch them, utilize them. But no doubt, COVID sort of pushed that. Going out to eat, having the menus. I remember reviewing that, showing them how to do it, and now every time I turn around, I see my dad scanning a QR code for something.
Yeah, I want to jump into Anthony's comment of the people after hours and off days. So I mentioned blue law states. We got 22 states that are blue law states, but we also have a lot of dealerships just closed on Sunday for sanity for their work staff, which 100%. So Sundays are huge. Off hours, they're there. I see scans, all hours of the day at various stores. But those off hours and after, or like Sundays and whatever, that's only 30% of our scans. The other 70% come when the dealership's open. And we tell dealerships, so I've got a very simple script because I've lived the other side of it. When I walk into a lot and I say, just looking, what I'm saying is, okay, first of all, I'm invested. I'm invested in buying a car. I've come to your store, so I'm invested in you. Whatever you've done to get me there, it's working. And I want to look at your inventory, but I don't want to talk to you right now. That's okay. But clearly, I want to buy a car. Yeah. So, but I walk into the dealership, and so we always tell. I talk to floor teams. I'm like, hey, welcome into the dealership. So, hey, great. Awesome. What was your first name? Mike. Mike, great. My name is Dave. Welcome to Dave's Auto. Tell you what, you have your phone with you? Of course you do. Everyone's got their phone with them. Tell you what, at Dave's Auto, we have the best shopping experience of any dealership in town. All of our cars have QR codes on them. You can walk the lot, look at a car, and you had a question about if it's a used vehicle vehicle what specs it has, that kind of stuff. Just scan the QR code, get all the information, and get updated live market pricing. Have a great time shopping. And when you have any questions, I'll be inside ready to talk to you. And you might get a message from me, tomorrow, following up on our conversation here today. But have a great time shopping. You need a bottle of water? What do you need? Great. Shop our lot. And so what you do is you disarm the customer because they're expecting you to be like, I'm going to hang on everything you're doing. I'm going to follow you around, and I'm going to be annoying, and I'm going to try to press a business card in your hand.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah, but we're saying give them something different. So when you give them this new voice track, which is, hey, welcome to the dealership, have a great time shopping, scan the codes. You've given them, they're not expecting it. You're giving them a different outcome. You are delighting them with taking all of that, like, I don't want to talk to you, out of the equation. They're excited, and you watch them walk over to look at a car, and you see them scan a code. And I always tell floor teams, because sometimes the codes go into like the CRM for round robin or whatever it's going to be. And I said, you just look at your watch and go, okay, at 12:38, the guy that scanned the Sienna, that's my ups. Yeah. So you don't lose the ups because it goes into the CRM, and everybody's happy. All that works. And so when I've said this to GMs and sales managers, every single time, like, can you go tell that to my team? Can we just go? I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But it also depends on, are you giving these leads to the floor team that are going to be coming in on the website, or are they going to go to a biz dev team? Like how you work, and we work either way. But there can be some dealership conflict there that the folks that come in and scan are going to go to the backroom sales team.
Mm-hmm. You said you would camp out on Sundays. Just hypothetically, if 20 sets of customers come onto a dealership lot on a Sunday, what's the percentage that you've been able to track that would scan the QR code?
Okay, so great question. That all comes. There's a few things that factor into that. How the cars are retailed on the lot. That's number one, and that includes, like, I've seen dealerships that have on the pre-owned side, all they have is the buyer's guide. That's all they got. And then they have, a scan for live market price. And the reason that there's a gap up here is to write the price. But we always tell them, you want to increase your scan rates, You write 3 letters
Mhm.
in front of the price. WAS. Was $19,995. So
And that's
as
it.
a car shopper, you want to know, well,
Ooh,
what's it
I
now?
like that.
Okay.
I like that. That's a good idea. That's a nice
take
hook.
scan rates up by like 30%.
Really?
Works great. And even if the price is the same price, it's okay. They okay. The price is $19.95. That's fine.
Yeah.
So that works out really well. I've seen some dealerships that put so much in the window sticker and on the vehicle. There's no reason to scan. Like we had one guy that printed out his vehicle history reports and put them on the dashboard. I'm like, dude, you got to give them a reason to scan. You can't give them all this
Yeah.
information. They're going to walk away. There's something to be said about holding something back, and you scan to get the info, and I get your lead. That's the value exchange that we're doing here. And some customers do scan and look at it and go, yeah, I'm going to do this. Those folks weren't going to talk to you
So
anyway.
from what
So there's no lead loss there because they weren't going to give you the lead anyway.
What did Chris Leslie say? I believe that for some weird reason, Chris.
It's a bicycle page.
I don't know, Chris. I'm not going to comment.
He's a good guy. So it sounds like what you're saying is don't utilize the window sticker. Get your buyer's guides in there because legally you need to do that. I don't think legally you need to have any type of window sticker. And
No.
utilize a QR code. Use your was, and then scan here for more information.
Yeah,
pricing,
yeah. So
all that
so
good
on
stuff.
the
Once
on,
that
on the label. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to ask, like, once the customer's in there, are you able to track, or what have you seen? What are most people most interested in? Obviously,
Price.
the call to action or there is sort of the price, but once that's passed, is there something else that the average consumer gravitates toward?
Okay, so price is number one. Everything else, and I mean everything else, is a distant second.
Okay.
Hands down on the call to action, price is the number one, without question. I can tell you that of 4 years of testing, without question.
Well, that makes sense. Every customer has 2
I believe
questions, and you're answering one right there on the lot. So one
So
question,
so when
oh,
so when and
obviously
yeah,
it's sitting
so the
right
issue
there.
around when someone looks on a lot, they're driving down a lot, and I know there's a love-hate relationship with hang tags, especially during COVID, with price volatility, and people had to go touch a car every 2 days when the pricing changed. I get that. So that's why we did these, because once you did it, you can leave it. You change the price, doesn't matter. They're going to scan and get the new price. It's okay, right? But yet what you're still doing for the customer is when they're driving through the lot and they're looking at a car and they're like, yep, and they get, customers get used to looking at years, makes, and models. They figure that out. They know what kind of they're looking for, but they drive down the lot making sure that the price and what they're looking at match. It's in their criteria. So dealerships that don't use hang tags are kind of giving themselves trouble, because if somebody's going to keep getting out and look at the price, that is not a great shopping experience. If you had to walk up to every product in retail and look at it on the shelf versus they always have big prices, you don't have to do that. You can just go, oh, that's $9.95 and that's $6.95. I want to get the $6.95 one, right? You don't have to worry about that. But yet there's this problem with hang tags because you got to change them every time, or when somebody test drives the car and they throw it down and they don't put it back up. Like, oh, that's a personal training issue. You want to sell cars? Get the damn tag hanging on the rearview mirror. Yeah. But so price is number one by a long shot. Secondly, on the pre-owned side, it's going to be vehicle history. Everyone uses some sort of history service. It's right there on the website. Tap, go, kind of a thing. Or they want those specs that have CarPlay, that kind of stuff. Now, I want to back up to, you mentioned window stickers, window labels. Not addendums, but actual like spec sheets. I think every spec sheet, like vAuto, everybody says, yeah, we can put the VDP QR code on the window sticker. Do you know how often those get scanned?
Yeah.
They don't.
That was my next question. What's the
They don't.
advantage of having the hang tag or just a separate sticker with just the QR code?
Well, so here's why those don't work. They're first of all, it's a piece of paper behind privacy glass. And we say, quit squinting through the tinting. You've already got something. You got a whole data sheet here. You got a really small QR code because you found space for it on the label. You've got sometimes no call to action. So the customers are like, is that even for them? And the customers have to know, if I'm going to scan a code, what am I going to get for it? Give me a reason to scan it. Call to actions are huge. I cannot stress that enough. And putting a little QR code on a window label doesn't do anything. I always tell people to go to dealerships. I'm excited because they're using QR codes, so they bought into that. That's cool. But I always say, so how many cars have we sold off those? And the GM's like, none. I don't know. Like what? I go, well, that's what ours do. Ours sell cars because we can track it all. We do that. That's what we do from the hang tags to the. Now this is an outside the window sticker. It goes on the outside of the window. Again, notice there's a space up here to write was and the price on the sticker. But it's an outside the window sticker that can be always seen, especially this is for Mercedes dealership those OEM windows are heavily tinted on the back windows. You can't hardly see through them. And in lighting conditions, you can walk by a car, you can't even tell there's a window label in the window. All right. Ours are seen, they see them on all the cars. They recognize that those are for them. The call to actions are clear. We always say that the best QR code the best QR code to use has no bearing on what it actually does. It's if it actually gets scanned. That's your first step. And so the first thing that we do is we build QR codes that are going to get used. And then after that, we add the functionality in, if that makes sense to you. And one of the, like on our hang tags, why are these codes so big? So in Wisconsin, you don't need to get out of your car. You just scan it. Yeah. Works great in Vegas, too. When it's super hot.
Yep.
And those poor floor teams are out there under those little awnings, just sweating their butts off, but trying to talk to car buyers. Let's give them a better experience. At the end of the day, let's give that car buyer a better experience. Because we want the immediacy of the interaction, but we also we know the value of lifetime customers.
Yeah, I wish the over-the-top QR codes were bigger. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting many feet away from the TV. I'm like, okay, I'd like to scan that thing. And you have to walk up and get right on top of the TV to get it.
And by then the code is gone.
Yeah. Well, there you got to
and that's
it. But
that's actually something that I give my friends at Flowcode, which is like the largest QR code, traditional QR code stuff. A lot of grief because they do those round codes, all the extra stuff in them. That makes the actual code, the actual scannable part of it smaller. And depending on the screen and how it's set up, like good luck scanning that. Yeah. It's kind of a waste. Of course, I think the best was it like an NFT that did all they had was the QR code that won Super Bowl just bouncing around the TV like for the whole 30 seconds or 60 seconds. When that popped up, I was like, genius. You've got no other thing to do, which is nice. I think DoorDash right now is doing. Is it DoorDash? Somebody, some food ordering. It just they leave the QR code up the entire time. It's just right there. Scan.
And another fun one that cracks me up is when I see a QR code on Instagram or TikTok. It's like, I'm on
mobile,
Instagram or whatever it is. I don't use TikTok, but I see the videos on Twitter and whatnot. But
I probably message somebody on LinkedIn once a day saying, "Dude, put the link in your post because we're on mobile. You can't scan it."
In my phone from my phone.
Well, you'd think by now there'd be an operating system would actually recognize a QR code on the screen and making each QR code a quick hyperlink. Built into the
that would be
system.
Nice. Yeah.
Someone uses that.
But the use of QR codes it can be problematic. And in automotive, it's like I see stuff that I think is great, but you can do it better. And I'm always about just doing the best that we can do.
Yeah. So you all are specialized in hang tags. My company, we use QR codes in mailers. So we embed
Yeah.
a personalized link that's put into a mailer and sent specifically to somebody to drive them to a landing page that gives them their exact offer, their car, everything about them. And it's nice. The scan rate was surprising. It was 4 times better.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because, and again, if you have a good call to action, so what lies behind curtain number 1, right?
Yeah.
And so, the team forbids me to talk about anything coming soon that isn't out yet, but mailers are coming soon. In sort of in the way that we do it, in the way that also the other thing that we're launching, it's NADA, so I can talk about it, is an API. So all the big guys like Viato and whatever, and all of the lot services companies, platforms and stuff can talk into our system and either swap out their QR codes for our QR codes and do all the lead capture automatically, and or print our custom QR codes. Both hang tags and window stickers. We have a lot of dealerships that actually do both. They do the hang tag and the sticker, which is great. And so, because car buyers, they may look at the hang tag, but they're kind of like we train them so well. They'll walk to the car and they'll walk to that window and they'll look at it, right? Because they know where that. So so it's like I always tell dealerships, be uber consistent on where you're putting your stickers and your window labels and your buyer's guides, all that kind of stuff. The more consistent you are, the better experience is going to be. I've gone to some where it's just like, it's awful. And I'm like, guys, hire some kid with OCD and stick him on and make him your lot attendant and have him fix all this stuff.
Good idea.
And yeah, because it's like you're retailing your vehicles. Let's make them look the best that we can make them look. It's amazing how many times I see dealerships and I'm like, so let's look at your activity on these vehicles, and they go, yeah, these ones aren't doing very well. And I'm like, have you walked out and looked at those cars lately? Like, if I saw that car, yeah, I don't want to buy it. It looks like crap. Let's make things look good. No one likes cars that are hanging around more than 30 days. Let's out the door. Come on, we got to go.
Well, I would say that's probably one of the biggest topics on Dealer Refresh alone is vehicle merchandising. And this is exactly what, this falls under, is merchandising that vehicle.
Yeah. I never see dealerships doing things like flags and whatever. And I'm like, for the cost of those flags and what you're doing, you could stick these in all the cars. We are kind of a flag, right? But it's like, there are things you can do that are actually going to drive leads that are going to sell cars. But also, it doesn't mean that are we the silver bullet? Nope. They still need to make sure that they're driving traffic to the lot, that they're doing what they got to do in marketing to make awareness for what they're doing. And especially if you're for the independents, because the independents are, they already have the deck stacked against them. When I go around, on my Sunday stalking, as my kids call it, so Green Bay is 130,000 people. Not much more than what the stadium holds, but OEM lot on a Sunday will get 140 to 170 people, individual shoppers. Like we count the car, not the people occupants of the car. So those are singles.
Okay.
But the franchise lot or the independent lots will do a fraction of that, and so they have to fight for every lead that they can get. And we've done very well with our independents who run really tight lots. That have increased their carrying capacity of their inventory because they have better deal flow with our system. They're moving more people through, and they're capturing the folks on the lot on a Sunday. On Monday, they're already calling them back. They're engaging with them before the other competitor lot even knows who they are. They're already bought a car out of market.
So, Dave, can we get back to your API for a minute? So,
yeah,
I know you haven't put it out there yet, but this morning, dealer was reaching out to me, and he was sharing their whole process for how they print out QR codes, and it sounds like they've got a pretty good one. It's quite involved in terms of using Excel macros and all sorts of different components with GA4 and whatnot. And it sounds like you could help with some of that, but what he was really after is he's trying to combine their lot scans with people touching their website, and was trying to connect some of those dots and be able to
Yeah.
capture, like, this device was looking at my website and now this device is on my lot scanning this QR code. And so if they're like on a Dealer Inspire website, which they are, would if Dealer Inspire were to utilize your API, how would that work to solve this particular dealer's want?
So whether they use the API or not, the result is the same. All of the traffic that we drive to those VDPs are all, again, UTM encoded from us. And so that they can look at all the traffic as a traffic source being from Connect Auto. And so it's very easy to tie that into GA4 and to know that, okay, this subset of our traffic is folks that came physically from the dealership. You already have cookies from other places typically, so you can tie that in. So when you first saw them, then you can tie in, like, you can look, okay, of all the web traffic, what's the crossover that it came from Connect Auto that went to the lot? It's pretty straightforward. Whether, again, you don't need the API to get all that, because that functionality is there regardless. But I want to back up. You talk about like the process of printing and doing all that kind of stuff. When we send out codes or hang tags to dealerships, they don't print anything. There's a box going out today. We send a box of, there we go, a box of pre-printed codes. They don't do anything. They just peel and stick. They don't, no printing.
That's a good idea.
Everybody hates printers. They don't have to do anything. Now, on our self-serve platform, which is really made for independents, is they can go in and they can create free VDP QR codes and print those themselves. And they print off in our hang tag format. They can also grab the codes themselves and stick them onto whatever marketing they want to do it. But this way, it's like, if they need 50 hang tags, VDP hang tags, great. Go to Dealer QR, sign up for a free account. There's no cost. And you go, get my free batch of 50 hang tags. You can do that every month. Just get them. And then they go into the interface and they say, okay, here's the VIN, make, model. Here's the URL. Assign. And they just put them on the cars. Super simple. Now they don't have to worry about, like, doing.
I'm sure they love it.
All of this. Well, we haven't really pushed the free QR stuff yet. That's part of the marketing for after NADA. We've been trialing with a bunch of dealerships, started getting the feedback on it. And it's, this is for the guy that, wants to really go it himself. He still wants to be more hands-on kind of thing. But we get into it, and it's like, there's so much easier ways to do it. Like for our independents, like so this is for one of our OEM customers. So they get batches as they consume through them. We decided to make it into a product, so that you want to buy a pack of 50 stickers. We sell them packs of 50 pre-printed, ready to go, and these are lead capture QR codes on vinyl stickers. And we do the same thing for hang tags. You can go to anyone. You can go to your automotive supply company. You can buy a box of 50 blank hang tags, and go through the trouble to create QR codes, take it to your printer, and blah 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 blah, all this crap. You just buy our pack of 50, and you go to the interface and you sign them, and it takes 2 seconds. Just cut and paste the URLs. Done. It doesn't need to be that difficult. People have more important things to do in life than manage a printer.
I don't know.
And I hate printers.
You haven't get a GMS company yet. That's
I didn't hear that. What else?
That's a whole other printing item, but
yeah.
But anyway, David, we're coming up on the hour here, and wanted to thank you for giving dealers some better avenues for making QR codes a little easier.
Yeah.
Dude, I got something from this. I'm definitely going to implement getting rid of the window sticker.
And the community at DealerRefresh is so awesome that, again, I've learned so much. Again, I feel indebted to everybody. If folks see this on DealerRefresh and they want, a batch of codes, that kind of stuff, like just reach out to me on DealerRefresh and I'll send them to you.
Cool.
Just for the community.
Great offer.
And quite honestly,
Yeah.
I'm also looking for some feedback, and I love when people tell me what works, but I love when you tell me what doesn't work and how I can make it better. Because that's my job.
Very awesome. If someone wants to see, is there like a test account or to sort of see it in action when you do scan stuff, and what's the process that the customer goes through?
I know there's a whole slew of videos just about to go up on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
When those
All
pop up, I'll throw them into that QR code forum.
Okay,
that
that's fine.
thread.
Yeah.
Let's keep that thread as epic as it is. Let's keep that thing going. And also, if everybody knows, even though I am a vendor, and it's like I also am bullish about teaching people how to do QR codes right and that kind of stuff. No questions off the table for me. It's like, I'll help you out. That's why we're doing the VDP QR codes for free, because QR codes are free. Our value is on the lead capture and the customer engagement. We charge for that. That's why we do the free print your own hang tags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we definitely appreciate you being part of the forums, and it's always refreshing because we've definitely have a handful of vendors in there, probably way more than a handful, and it's great when they jump in. They actually offer great, solid advice. They engage with the community. They're not constantly trying to sell something, which never works out too well in DealerRefresh to begin with, just because sort of turns the community off. So no, we absolutely appreciate it. It's fantastic. Again, you've piqued my interest in a few things because
whether they've talked to me or not, I appreciate everybody for what they've done for me in automotive, and I'm just trying to give back, like with the free QR codes and that kind of stuff. It's just everybody's learning and giving and taking on this stuff. I'm just trying to, I'm a vendor, but I'm trying to also be, collaborative with the dealers and solving the problems.
Much appreciated. If someone wants to reach out to you, I know they can go into the forums and find you over there, but website URL, maybe direct contact information for you before we head out.
Yeah, so it's just connectauto.com.
With a K, right?
With a K, yep, K. Because there's only like all the connects, they're all freaking in automotive. When we did this, it was so funny. I went to the first page. I'm like, why is everybody doing the same name? Like, what the heck? All this confusion. So we're actually doing a bit of a brand switch to Dealer QR for the product, just to differentiate us away from the connect stuff. One N.
Oh, one N.
Yeah, KONECT. And it's really easy because you see my name on the screen. My email is firstname.last@connectauto.com. Super easy. Perfect. But the forum, I get my email I get my email alerts for the forum. So you shoot me a message, I get that right away.
Cool. Excellent. Well, David, again, really appreciate it. Very much.
Right, appreciate you guys. Nice to finally meet you guys.
For sure.
You got it, man.
We look forward to seeing you in the forums, David.
In the future.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Cheers.